Morning, everyone. Welcome to the webinar Business and Manufacturing Opportunities in Cambodia, organized by the Hong Kong Trade Development Council with support from the Royal Consul-General of Cambodia in Hong Kong and Macau, Cambodia International Trade Association, Federation of Hong Kong Industries, and the Chinese Manufacturers Association of Hong Kong. I'm your MC today, Pamela. Today's webinar will highlight what makes Cambodia a good choice for expanding or relocating your manufacturing businesses. We will also learn about opportunities offered by special economic zones in Cambodia and practical advices on financing, legal, and tax issues. There will be a Q&A session after sharing by each speaker. Please submit your your questions anytime through the Q&A box in the bottom of your screen. Without further ado, may I first invite Mr. Peter Wong, Regional Director, Southeast Asia and South Asia Hong Kong Trade Development Council, to give us his welcome remarks. Mr. Wong, please.
Thank you, Pamela. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining today's webinar on business and manufacturing opportunities in Cambodia. As the whole world is still fighting COVID-19 and global trade is threatened by protectionism, there is an impending need for manufacturers to explore alternative production bases and new markets. In the past few months, we have gathered feedback from the manufacturing sectors and noted that an increasing number of Hong Kong SMEs are undertaking comprehensive assessment of ASEAN as a priority region for establishing presence for both sales and production after the pandemic, especially as the region has been faring relatively better in the pandemic. ASEAN's proximity to Hong Kong, supported by an improving transport network, enables shipping of raw materials, parts and components to and from China in a cost-effective manner, hence forming a quasi-extension of mainland's well-established supply chain. To assist Hong Kong SMEs in establishing presence in the region, the HKTDC has launched a series of initiatives to keep the business community abreast of such opportunities in ASEAN. In particular, this webinar focuses on Cambodia market, which is among the preferred manufacturing destinations of Hong Kong SMEs. Strategically located in the center of Southeast Asia and just within 3-hour flight from Hong Kong, Cambodia's location is perfect for manufacturers looking to maximize their reach to ASEAN export markets. Cambodia also has a young population with competitive average salary as compared to its regional peers, making it an attractive location, particularly for labor-intensive manufacturing. Moreover, the widespread use of the US dollar is proving hugely convenient for overseas businesses. I believe you will learn a lot more about the business and investment environment in Cambodia from today's sharing by the Consul-General as well as other fellow speakers. Industrial parks in the economic and trade cooperation zones also play an important role in helping manufacturers diversify supply chain and markets. Today, we can learn about the opportunities offered by the two prominent industrial parks in Cambodia, namely the Phnom Penh Special Economic Zone and Sihanoukville Special Economic Zone. To assist Hong Kong manufacturers in establishing presence in overseas industrial parks, a task force focusing on manufacturing partnership and investment was set up under our Belt and Road and Greater Bay Area Committee in December 2019. Supported by the task force, the HKTDC stand ready to help with your endeavors on manufacturing expansion. Finally, I would like to express my gratitude to our supporting organizations, the Royal Consulate-General of Cambodia in Hong Kong SAR and Macau SAR, Cambodia International Trade Association, and Federation of Hong Kong Industries for their support for today's webinar. I hope you will find today's webinar useful. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Peter. Today, we are honored to have Mr. Sincere, Consul-General of Cambodia in Hong Kong and Macau, to give us a briefing on business and investment environment in Cambodia. Consul-General, please.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is my great pleasure to be here on the topic of business manufacturing opportunities in Cambodia. Thank you, HKTDC, for organizing this event. Cambodia is located in the center of South Asia. A large proportion of the country's land is either forest or dedicated to agricultural production. It is one of the fastest growing economies in Southeast Asia and currently ranks 11th in the world in terms of highest GDP growth over the last decade. With half of population being under the age of 25, young population nobody great potential to drive economic and social developments. According to the World Bank, the real GDP growth of Cambodia has reached average 7% per annum. Strong GDP growth has likely driven by rapid expansion in garments, tourism, agriculture, and particularly over the last few years, construction. However, the COVID-19 pandemic has significantly impacted Cambodia's economics in 2020. Cambodia continues to have a serious reform to sustain growth, foster competitiveness, manage natural resources well, and improve access to and quality of public service. Cambodia became a member of World Trade Organization in 2004. Its membership of ASEAN provides business in Cambodia and advantage of the ASEAN economic immunity. In addition, free trade agreements have been concluded between ASEAN and China, Japan, South Korea, India, Australia, and New Zealand. Under the Anything But Arms agreement, Cambodia can export any products except for weapons to the EU tariff-free. The US and Europe are continually the main export markets of Cambodia. In 1999, Cambodia has entered into ASEAN Free Trade Area and eligible preferential tariff reduction that are granted under Free Trade Agreement. Cambodia is also a member state of World Trade Organization, having tarified the WTO agreements in 2004, has had a major impact on all sectors of business ASEAN. In 1999, Cambodia has entered into ASEAN Free Trade Area and is eligible preferential tariff reductions that are granted under the Free Trade Agreements. Cambodia is also a member state of the World Trade Organization, having tarified the WTO agreements in 2004 and has had a major impact on all sectors of business. The establishment of ASEAN Economic Community in 2015 is a major milestone on the path to deepening regional economic integration. However, the opening opportunities with its market of $2.6 trillion and a population of over 629 million people. Cambodia is well positioned to be significant beneficiary of the ASEAN Economic Community and improving its labor productively will be crucial to competing from the other ASEAN member states. Foreign direct investment inflow to Cambodia have a very fast growth in the last few years due to political stability, regional economic growth, and an open investment market. According to United Nations Conference, Cambodia attracts inflow of over 3.7 billion US dollars in 2019, the highest on its record. The main investing countries are China, Japan, United States, and other Asian countries. The construction industry attracts the largest share of foreign investors, followed by infrastructure, textile industry, agriculture, and tourism. In conclusion, macroeconomic stability and GDP growth in Cambodia has been very favorable for investors. Cambodia is located in a dynamic region. It has a young population. Unlike other countries in the region, 100% foreign ownership of companies is allowed in all sectors. Foreign investors can enjoy a good incentives with no restriction of repatriation of funds, no foreign exchange control, and no price control. There is a fairly simple corporate income tax and simplified custom tariffs. And all these sectors certainly make Cambodia an attractive destination for investment. Thank you very much for your attention. Please continue to join this event. Thank you.
Thank you, Consul-General, for the sharing. Next, may I invite Mr. Sunny Tan, Deputy Chairman, Federation of Hong Kong Industries, Executive Vice President, Luen Holdings Limited, to share with us their experience as a Hong Kong manufacturer in Cambodia. Mr. Tan, please.
Yes, good morning, everyone. This is Sunny Tan. I represent the Federation of Hong Kong Industries as well as an investor in Cambodia, and I would like to share what I know and our experience about Cambodia and why we do business in Cambodia. All right, can everyone hear me well? Okay, I would like to take the opportunity to share with everyone from a manufacturer perspective how we see what are the key importance numbers that we as a manufacturer that we will look into. Number one, Cambodia, it's an ASEAN country. As an ASEAN member, logistically is quite well developed in between Cambodia and China, because as many of you know that we are really diversifying away from China, and we need to make sure the infrastructure between China and Cambodia it's sufficiently strong to provide that transition. So it's there. As we mentioned, there's a very young population, which is good for manufacturing, for garments, for bags, and also there's enough land. Literacy, it's quite okay. but relatively speaking, it's a little bit still behind, but then we need to learn how to manage our labor, which I will explain a little bit more. Population 70 million, it's a concern, but not a big concern, but because compared to some other countries, it's a little bit smaller, but sometimes small is beautiful. Let me explain to everyone, share with you about Luen. Luen has been in Cambodia since 1997. I remember I was there back in 1999. And as you can imagine, of course, at that time, Cambodia, Phnom Penh is less developed. But throughout the time, we are really seeing the development of Cambodia in Phnom Penh. Really step by step, you see the infrastructure slowly getting established. We can see that it's becoming a more positive location, a place for our investors like us to be putting our money in here. We feel safe, we feel confident. That's why throughout the years, you see that in 2005, 2012, 2016, we are making all these investments or acquisitions into Cambodia. So we have multiple locations in Cambodia, making bags, making apparel. We are investing into making sweaters, sportswear. We are putting up a lab. We are going to invest into fabric printing, high-tech fabric printing too. So we are really seeing Cambodia as a very strategic country among Luen Holdings. So allow me to share with you our facilities snapshot. We have Suntec. Suntec makes for Adidas and some other brands as a sportswear, 3,300 employees. Deluxe, we converted a part of our apparel manufacturing into making fashion bags. We're making for Coach, Michael Kors, Lacoste, Tory Burch, primarily export to US. We started in January 2019 with 8,000 employees now. As some of you may know, the US government allowed duty-free export from Cambodia and some other GSP countries duty-free, and we immediately went into Cambodia. And throughout that, a year to 2 times, we are already one of the leading company exporting from Cambodia. And we see the potential. We see how all the workers can be very well trained, very good productivity. A lot of our customers or some other business partners before question Cambodia and say that they make garments, but then if we're talking about a much higher value piece of items, consumer goods, well, Cambodia people can handle it. We show to people that Cambodia people are equally strong and making very good bags, leather bags, fashion bags. They're very good. Hong Swan is another company that makes ladies' fashion wear, a bit smaller. We are building up another sportswear production site with our plan to be 4,000 workers. And we also acquired earlier part of the beginning of the year a knit-to-shape sweater company. So you can see that we are very bullish. We are putting money into Cambodia. This one, Luen. Luen is a very high-tech fabric print company, fabric print operation with very, very little use of water. So it's very environmental, very sustainable. We feel that sustainability, speed to market is very important. As you may know, for apparel, the fabric print and the fabric manufacturing is a much higher investment. And sometimes people still buying fabric from China, but we want to bring the fabric and print into Cambodia. By doing that, our lead time from customer order to our shipment can be substantially reduced. And we are seeing that the maturity of high-tech printing on fabric. That's why we are now making such investment to create a great supply chain ecosystem in the apparel manufacturing. On the right, you will see LT Labs. You see the digital board. It's just not a board with numbers, but it's about digitalization. because we want to break down all the processes. We want to make sure that the system can allow our junior management to make the decision on the spot, rather than having a Chinese technician or a Chinese manager coming into Cambodia to run a factory. We want to grow our Cambodian management team by giving them the right tools to groom them. We feel that Cambodians are also very good, that we just need to give them opportunity. We need to give them the right tools and to perform. So we feel proud that we are working on it. We are making some initial success, and we're very confident that we will be able to make more progress on this. Doing business in Cambodia, for our 20 years in doing business in Cambodia, there are a few observations that I would like to share with you all. This is a chart about the basic salary growth and the total salary. So you can see that maybe, let's say 10 years ago, we are talking about below $100 of basic salary. Total salary may be between $100 to $200. So comparatively speaking to China and to other Southeast Asian countries, Cambodia is very competitive. And that's why a lot of the lower end manufacturing, like basic t-shirts, kids wear, they will come to Cambodia to make investment because the little price difference is important to them. So they all would come into Cambodia. But in the past few years, you can see that the total compensation, total salary is moving up and up and up. We are now at the level close to the Philippines. Not yet, but we're getting closer to the Philippines, closer to Vietnam, closer to Indonesia. So there's still a wage advantage, but it's diminishing. We can understand certain reason because of the development of the country. So what we as an investor need to do is to apply technology. We need to understand how to train our labor. We need to know how to put in the right order. So all these fits. As a company, as an investor, we also need to evolve. We need to evolve from a pure low-cost manufacturing concept going into Cambodia more into having a more value-added manufacturing, more with technology elements to make it in Cambodia, because the country in Cambodia is also evolving. They are also making advancement. They are also making development. So as it continues to develop, we are not too scared about the. We know, of course, it's a pressure on the minimum wage increase, but you can see that we are still making investments. So we can see that it's an area that we as a company will need to work around with the development of the country. Labor union. Some of you might have heard about the labor unions. I would say that the country is very much a pro-labor country. So there are a lot of union activities going on. A lot of times, a lot of our members will tell me that they have a lot of labor union issues, strikes. Yes, it will happen if the company is not properly managing its labor arrangement, the labor law, for example. It will happen when there is no proper engagement with our labor and the labor representative. The problem usually is misunderstanding of culture, mistreatment of workers, and try to bring the Chinese way in China, bring it into a development country like Cambodia. Luen, we have been in overseas for the past 35 years. So not only we understand the cultural difference in China, but we also know how the cultural differences in the Southeast Asia, including Cambodia. So our management team got to learn the local language, the Khmer. We need to make sure that we understand the literacy. How good are they educated, for example? They need to learn, okay, how do we calculate their compensation? So sometimes it's because we don't understand their background and we thought that they understand certain things and the miscommunications will come in. So even though if we do everything correct, the labor could have misunderstanding and it becomes a problem. So we need to put a lot of effort to manage this, proactively talk to labor union, proactively work with the Ministry of Labor, proactively seeking advice and make sure that we do the right thing, treating our workers, the safety, the compensation, and engage them into a lot of other community work. I think it is manageable. It's not easy. We need to put in the effort, but we all believe that this is the right thing to do. Recruitment, 17 million population, so it's getting more limited. We can see some of the wage pressure, and we are also seeing a lot of competitors coming to our factory to do the recruitments. So what I would say is we need to know how to manage the labor in a way that they will feel that you have a sense of belongings. Don't treat the workers just like a piece of machines, but find ways to give the sense of belongings. How do you make the employee care, workers care, that they feel that they are part of it? It's not easy, but this is what it takes. And we need to win on this. If we are treating our workers just like a piece of machine, they won't stay, and you are always competing. And the turnover rate will always cause efficiency problems to your factory. So, but there are ways out that we just need to do it right. Customs. Developing countries, there are a lot of filings and steps in terms of dealing with customs. So the very important thing is don't take any shortcuts. Make sure that we keep proper, accurate records, weekly, monthly. A lot of times some factories go into problem because they did not put in the proper record. When they try to do their own audit, 6 months later, 12 months later, or when a custom officer come and visit you, you find out there are things being inaccurate or inadequate in terms of documentation, it becomes a problem. Nobody can help because you need the record. So make sure that we don't only focus on production, get the products out without having the records being done right. Taxation is also very challenging because the tax is starting point. It's at a gross tax level, and so you need to really plan your tax well, getting the right tax lawyer, tax consultant to understand the tax arrangement that you can do locally in Cambodia. At the same time, you need to make sure that the transfer pricing between where you bring up your sales into Cambodia, all these arrangements, you got to be very clearly defined, documentation-wise, you got to do it right to make sure that you can optimize your tax, I would say. So similar to custom, you need to do it right. Get local consultant to understand what you need to do. And lastly, COVID-19, it seems the government has been having a quite impressive record in managing the situation. The number shows that it's quite manageable, but in all developing countries, sometimes we would be also concerned whether there's any unrecorded numbers. But so far, we are not seeing any major outbreak that causing a lot of operational issues with our factory compared to some other countries that we operate. One of our factory in ASEAN, I don't want to name the country, but there are outbreaks and our factory got to stop for 2 weeks, for example. But so far, our Cambodia factories is still in operation. So I would say the government must have done something right. Of course, COVID-19 becomes a problem in terms of travel. So currently our technicians, some of the management team, they're having difficulties in going in and out of the country. So I do hope that the government can help us to ease this arrangement and allow us to continue to manage better with our factories and with our labor. So that's our basic sharings about Luen Thai, about the Cambodia as a whole, as well as our experience in the past 20 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tan, for your insightful sharing. We would now open for questions. So if our audience, if you have any questions, please submit your questions through the Q&A box. So we have received a question. As a young person in Hong Kong with no direct connection in Cambodia, would you recommend to go to Phnom Penh directly to find opportunities, or what kind of Hong Kong company can provide opportunities for someone like the inquirer who wants to explore chances in Cambodia?
Okay, I think talking to TDC in identifying partners looking for business, use their tools, I think is very important. Talking to the federations or other trade association, I think is very important to get the experience. Once you get to know about the basics, then you can pay a visit to Cambodia. Depends on your industry. We can link up, like as TDC, as the Federation of Hong Kong Industry, we can link you up with the local trade association. For example, if you're talking about apparel, bags, that I know, then we can link you up to, we call the GMAC, it's called the Garment Manufacturers Association of Cambodia. So we can link you up so you know more about what are the business opportunity, where could be the places that you can operate.
Thank you, Mr. Tan. There's another question. With over 20 years of operation in Cambodia, is there any notable changes in the market or investment environment that make foreign businesses more favorable, or vice versa?
To be honest, in the past, Cambodia, from foreigners' perspective, we feel quite dangerous. I still remember back in 1999, when I go in, I walk in Phnom Penh, I can still see people carrying guns, okay? But now you feel a lot safer. I will go out to the dinner at night, walking around, of course, in the proper area, you don't feel any kind of insecurity. You feel safe. I would say that the government is getting more sophisticated. They know how to work with investors more than before. In the past, it's really just about a very low labor cost, but without the other services or infrastructure. But we are seeing that how the government has been putting up all the infrastructure to allow us to operate better and to allow Cambodia to compete with their neighbor countries. The thing is, Cambodia used to be in apparel what we call is a low and slow country. So they might have a lead time problem to be longer lead time, lower price, but as such you can take on the lower price, longer lead time, you come. But now Cambodia is slowly improving and improving. The cost may not be the lowest, but the infrastructure, the logistics, all these things are improving. So we are seeing that difference. We are seeing the management, literacy and junior management skill set. It's improving, so we hope that that will continue. And last thing is we are seeing a lot more Cambodian who can, especially in Phnom Penh, who can speak Chinese. Because I would say that maybe the service industry, a lot of Chinese tourists coming in. So that's a very obvious improvement.
Thank you, Mr. Tan. So due to some time constraint, we are not able to answer all the questions from our audience, but we'll share the questions to all our speakers so maybe they can address it after the webinar and we'll share the answer to you all afterwards. So thank you, Mr. Tan. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, may I invite Ms. Adel Legarta, Chief Business Development Officer, BIC Cambodia Bank, to brief us on loan financing for business and manufacturing company in Cambodia. Ms. Legarta, please. Hi, Ms. Adel, can you hear us?
Can you see my screen?
Yes. Clear.
Yeah, I can hear you. I'm sharing my screen.
Okay, thank you.
Good morning. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see your live screen, but not your sharing screen of your presentation right now.
A moment.
Okay, no problem. There's a share screen button next to the Q&A box. So would you please click it so we can see your share screen?
A moment, please.
Oh, yeah, sure, no problem.
Okay, everything okay, right? Can see my
Yes,
screen?
yes, it looks perfect. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Sorry for that. Good morning. I will be representing BIC Bank Cambodia for today's presentation on loan financing for business and manufacturing in Cambodia. Cambodia presents great opportunities for businesses and manufacturing companies in the country. Apart from Cambodia's strategic location at the heart of Southeast Asia, the country is known for its low-cost manufacturing base for certain industries. A report published by the UN Conference on Trade and Development highlighted that one of the main drivers of the Cambodian economy is the manufacturing industry, as it receives high volume of investments. Namely, the government, which has the largest portion in Cambodia's manufacturing sector, accounting for about 80% of the country's exports, it has driven Cambodia's economy from previous years, accounting for 16% of the country's GDP. Cambodia provides an enabling environment for investors, businesses, and manufacturers through its stable economy, benefits from several government incentives, and support from financial institutions. Financial institutions such as banks in Cambodia are supportive of businesses to help them grow, expand, and develop. Cambodia's banks, with the support and guidance of the National Bank of Cambodia, has helped maintain a healthy and active financial sector, contributing to financial inclusion to improve livelihoods and the reduction of poverty in Cambodia. According to the National Bank of Cambodia, NBC, the financial sector has grown with more than 40 commercial banks and 14 specialized banks in 2019. NBC also mentioned that loans have increased by 26% year on year to 117 trillion reals or 28.8 billion USD, driven by the rising loan demands in trade, real estate, manufacturing, amongst others. Small and medium enterprises, SMEs in Cambodia, play an important role in driving forward the kingdom's economy. Based on the annual report by the Ministry of Industry and Handicraft in 2018, 70% of the country's employment are in SMEs. About 99.8% of the companies are SMEs, and SMEs contribute 58% to Cambodia's GDP. From the demand side, a study done by the UNESCO showed that about 66% of entrepreneurs and business owners find access to finance as a challenge. Some of this include difficulty to get a loan from a financial institution, high interest rate, term of loans, complexity of documents to submit, financial statements, collateral matters, amongst others. A study from the IFC and EU in Cambodia stated, and despite of high liquidity in Cambodia's banking system, banks still find it challenging to lend SMEs due to their poor financial records and weak financial infrastructure, making the enforcement and loan agreements and liquidating collateral very uncertain. With the lack of financial information resulting from weak accounting standards and the absence of credit information sharing, makes it hard for banks to evaluate the creditworthiness of borrowers. Evidently, SMEs have a significant role in the Cambodian economy. Hence, they also need support from the government and financial sector for their business to advance and prosper. Regarding government support, the government believes by supporting SMEs, the country can achieve its ambition to attain upper middle income status by 2030 and high income by 2025. Sound policies and certain fund schemes to support SMEs. To accommodate the financial needs of SMEs, the Cambodian Prime Minister introduced an initiative to set up as an SME bank in 2017 to boost and strengthen export capacity. Through the Ministry of Economy and Finance has set up the SME bank with a 100 million budget. The bank will prioritize the development of Cambodian agro-businesses and SMEs that are linked to FDIs, tourism sector, and technology startups. The financial sector in Cambodia provides various services. Loans are a financial means of support to business owners from banks. They are essential to ensure economic stability. Many local banks have started to offer loan services for SMEs, providing them with complete information to better understand the requirements and process for application. BIC Bank offers corporate loans to small and medium industries to help them successfully grow their businesses. Encourage an increase in capital to expand the businesses to keep up with the competitors in the market. The bank offers all types of loans to suit business needs and type regardless of loan size. The bank has low interest rates, loan amount, speedy approval, flexible loan terms and repayment. How to apply? There are requirements to be fulfilled in different industries. As an example, legal status of business, certificate of incorporation, memorandum of and articles of association, patent, certificate of tax registration, or VAT. Financial statements, of course, audited is an advantage, bank statement and others. As collateral, it would be movable property, land or house, or it can be fixed deposit. Our website would actually give you more information on loans and banking needs. Loan financing for business and manufacturing companies in Cambodia will remain as a strong support from financial institutions. This is amongst the other opportunities the country can offer to investors, looking to support economic diversification, development, and growth for Cambodia. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Adel. Thank you for informative sharing. We're now open for questions. So if our audience, you have any question, please submit it in the Q&A box. So we have received a question. Does it affect Cambodia's investment environment after Cambodia loses European Union's preferential agreement under the EBA?
I think it somehow affects, but of course, the government has measures to keep and to maintain the the stability. It should the sustainability of each and every industry of the country.
Thank you, Ms. Adel. So any more questions from our audience? So if not, thank you, Ms. Adel, for your informative sharing. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Good day.
Thank you. Next, may I invite Mr. Okray, Senior Lawyer and Partner, and Mr. Moniroath, Senior Tax Advisor, Bunu Oak Law Firm, to brief us on investment law and tax issues in Cambodia. Mr. Oak, please.
Share. Okay, good morning. I'm Okray. This morning I will briefly present on investment law and tax issues in Cambodia with my partner, Mr. Mark. So let's proceed to. Okay, go further. Okay. Yeah. So before we enter into the investment law, I'll just briefly mention a Cambodian legal system.
So Cambodia is a constitutional monarchy and it's a civil law system. Cambodia has 3 levels of courts: provincial and municipal court, appeal court, and Supreme Court. So beside the civil code and criminal code, Cambodia does not have a commercial code. However, as a member of WTO, we have promulgated a lot of commercial laws. These laws, we take the assistance from World Bank and ADB, which is quite modern, especially law on commercial enterprise, law on insolvency, secure transaction laws, law on commercial arbitration, law on consumer protection, law on trademark and unfair competition, law on copyrights, law on patent, insurance law, of course, recently passed, law on banking, financial institution, law on security exchange. These are just a number that is more regulation. So quite, we can say, develop commercial laws in Cambodia, which is sufficient for resolving dispute or contracts, preparation, investments. Of course, in any investor's mind will be, how will you be resolving these disputes? So of course you go to court, and the legal system may be slow, but we also have law on commercial arbitration, which set up the National Commercial Arbitration Center. This center has been in operation for the last 2-3 years, and is a number of commercial arbitration and award has been issued, and of course award has been recognized and enforced by the Cambodian court as well. Of course, investors may also want to resolve your disputes in overseas commercial arbitration center like Hong Kong, Singapore, or as far as London, and we do have the law on commercial arbitration. We recognize and enforce foreign award as well. So if you don't want to resolve by arbitration or go to court here, you can go to arbitration overseas, and the awards will be recognized and enforced under the law on recognition and enforcement of foreign arbitral awards. So and then you want to put your money in your investment, you have disputes, we have developed dispute resolution system. Okay. Now, as our main topic is on investment law and tax issue, basically, in Cambodian, yeah. In investment, our special economic zone presentation, people from Phnom Penh and Sihanoukville special zone will probably provide more detail later. So I'll just brief what are the investment incentive and procedures. So the Council for Development Cambodia, CDC, or Provincial Investment Subcommittee, is the main authority for the government to grant investment registration as a qualified investment projects. The abbreviation is QIPs here. So QIP, if you qualify, you grant register as an investment company and recognized as a QIP. So QIP, you qualify under our investment law. And of course, investment incentives are available for QIP and for the special economic zones. Special economic zone under special economic zone sub-decree, which have additional incentives if you are invested in these zones. Of course, our speakers will talk that later. And QIP entitled to tax profit exemption, well known as tax holidays. We will explain that later. At the same time, the most important for QIP is that you will be granted custom duty exemption, import of production equipment, construction material, and production inputs. And of course, the import duty on inputs are only granted to input used in the production of export goods. Okay, so QIP registration procedures, you can see here, QIP, you can registration CDC. Of course, the SEZ will have a one-stop at SEZ, whereby CDC will be represented there, so they are a lot faster than investment not located in SEZ. And QIP, you can submit registration before or after incorporation with Ministry of Commerce, because all companies must be registered with Ministry of Commerce after or before. Investor must submit separate investment proposal for each proposed activities. I'm sure you explain more of that. Pay one-time application fees and deposit to guarantee investment is not eligible unless specified, so you don't have to make deposit. Finally, investor must get final registration certificate. This is from the CDC in 28 days after you submit. So when you submit, CDC will reply to you within 3 days with a letter saying you register your company and you have to comply with various license and approval. And within 28 days, CDC will issue final registration certificate. And if you're in special economic zone, that'd be a lot easier, faster as well. They do it all the time. This is but for outside, you have to find investment advisors to help you to prepare the registration documents, application document. Investment activities prohibited by relevant law. So of course our law prohibit, production of poisonous chemical, agricultural pesticide. These are prohibited, and forestry investment activity. So these are prohibition for you, and of course for investors, profit tax exemption. Tax holiday for QIP is the most important incentive also. So you have trigger period plus 3 years plus priority period. So major investment, you can have up to 9 years of profit tax exemptions. And these will be assessed based on your investment and the type of sectors or industry that you are involved in. If you are in investment capital. Yeah, and also if your investment capital is quite high, then the priority period will apply. Yeah. And of course, you'll note here an annual certificate of obligation satisfaction or compliance certificate must be obtained for QIP every year, so that you are entitled to profit tax exemption. If not, you will not be granted profit tax exemption. And other incentive for QIP, I've mentioned before, custom duty exemption on importation and export duty exemption for all QIP and VAT exemptions. In a special economic zone. Yeah, in a special economic zones. Our friend will mention more about that. And other incentives, ownership for QIP is only permitted for Cambodian for land, ownership of land here. And of course, use of land you can lease 15 years and up to 50 years. It's called permanent lease. And but of course, you cannot buy unless you're Cambodian citizens. And you can use foreign employees. Your skills is not here in Cambodia, you can apply to Ministry of Labor to get more foreign quotas, especially with skilled foreign workers. That's it for me. My tax expert will go to the tax.
Okay, good morning. My name is Matt. I'm going to present briefly about the tax in Cambodia. And I will straightforward to the point that Mr. Sunitan have raised about transfer pricing. And also the last one is for the double taxation agreement with Hong Kong. Okay, the general thing is about the patent tax. Normally, patent tax is a tax levied on that paid by the company and depend on the classification. Normally, they divide in 3 categories. We have a small taxpayer, medium taxpayer, and a large taxpayer. So you can see the turnover per year. So if you have turnover per year from 62 to 175,000, you register under small taxpayer, and then the patent fee is 100 a year, respectively. Okay, and then the second one is tax on income and the minimum tax. Normally, if you are the qualified investment project, you are exempt with total 9 years. But the standard tax on income is 20%, and for oil and natural gas production is 30%. For the insurance industry, 5% of gross premium, and QIP, is 0%. And the minimum tax is separate from income tax, but the minimum tax can be deducted when your income tax is higher. So if you need to pay $100 US of income tax, then you have minimum for 50, so you pay only the variance 50. Okay, the general withholding tax, this one is quite sensitive as well, because the general withholding tax is imposed on the services performed by the non-resident industry. So here is a residential taxpayer, meaning that he have a resident or permanent address in Cambodia, or he stay in Cambodia more than 180 days. And the second one is legal entity or pass-through register or under management in Cambodia. So if you, in these 2 conditions, you will be treated as a resident. So the resident is tax is different, but it depends on the payment. Okay, like 50% on the service and the royalty for intangible and interest in the Moniroath. 50% also pay on interest pay to non-bank. If you borrow money from your parent company or your a company in overseas, you pay 15% on the interest, yeah. And then you have the 10% withholding tax on the lease for the resident, and 6% for fixed deposit and 4% on the saving deposit. And for non-resident, you have only one fixed rate, 14% on interest and 14% on royalty or rental leasing and 14% on payment of management fee and technical service. And the last one is 14% of the dividend. So when you got a profit, when you share the profit to the non-resident, you need to withhold 14%. The fourth one is tax on salary. Okay, tax on salary divided into 2 as well, for resident and non-resident. For resident is in progressive rate, as you can see in my presentation. Yeah. And for non-resident is 20% fixed. Okay. On the top of that, we have a tax on fringe benefit. These 10 or 11 conditions are treated as fringe benefit, and the fringe benefit is fringe benefit is based on the calculation is 20% on the amount of the fringe benefit provided by the employer. And then the sixth one is the specific tax on certain merchandise and service. So this one is just only related to the not consumption product like wine, beer, cigarette, or cigar, whatever. This one is related to other business like entertainment or telephone for overseas or local. Okay, in Cambodia we have 3 types of tax audit. We have a desk audit and limited audit, and the last one is comprehensive audit. One comprehensive audit is conducted, meaning that the fiscal year is closed because no more audit on that on your account. Okay, this one is the last one. We have signed the double taxation agreement with Hong Kong and promulgated on the 5th December. So this one is covered on tax on both. Mean that resident toll on board contracting party in Cambodia, either in Cambodia or in Hong Kong, and then the tax cover is on income, including tax on gain from movable and immovable property in both countries. So you can see that in Cambodia, tax on income, including withholding tax, minimum tax, and additional profit tax. And the second one is tax on salary. For Hong Kong Special Administration Region, you will get the profit tax, salary tax, and property tax. So, and then the last one is for the transfer pricing. The transfer pricing is here is out of my presentation. The transfer pricing in Cambodia is rely on the related party. Normally, they treat on the related party. And this one in Cambodia, they suggest to use the arm's length principle to evaluate the related party transaction or the transfer pricing. Okay, that is end from my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now we're open to questions. If you have any questions, please submit it in your Q&A box. We have one question from the audience. Our previous speaker, Mr. Sunny Tan, mentioned that foreign investors are easy to fall into prey to tax penalties. Could you share what are the more common tax penalties that foreign business should be aware of?
The tax penalty they have normally we have three kind of tax penalty, and we have the rate is 10% plus the 1.5% of interest rate, and the second one is 25%, and the last one is 40%. And okay, the issue, the common penalty is on normally is on the profit margin. Mostly you can see that on the profit margin, and especially also on the transaction that you pay to the non-resident, like you remit the interest, or when you pay the service fee or the technical fee to overseas to non-resident, you need to withhold. So this one is common tax penalty.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Mac, for your sharing. Thank you so much. Next, may I invite Mr. James Chang, Marketing Manager of Phnom Penh Special Economic Zone, to tell us more details about the zone. Mr. Chang, please.
Good morning, everyone. It's James from Phnom Penh Special Economic Zone, and today is very glad to introduce our zone to all of the members online. And please, if you have any question, please make a comment and raise the question below, and I will try to answer all the members. And for this opportunity, I want to introduce our zone in three phases. One is about a policy and support from Cambodian government. And the second one is about the development of the manufacturing and industry of PPSCZ, and also the current situation of our zone. And third one is about a challenging and plan in the future to invest in Cambodia, especially in a special economic zone. So inside our zone, we are the special economic zone, which means we have the very close cooperation with the Cambodian government. So inside our zone, we have the one-stop service center, which include the CDC, with several of the government authority, including the CDC, Customs, Ministry of Commerce, and Ministry of Labor. So inside our zone, most of the tenants, they don't need to go to each of the government institution to apply for everything. Most of the services they can find inside the one-stop service center, including like investment registration, like import and export permits, like a custom clearance, and certificate of origin, and work permit. And I would especially appreciate Mr. Oak from BNO Law Firm to introduce about a qualified investment project and all of the tax issues in Cambodia. So I will make a very general introduction of the QIP here. Most of the manufacturers inside our zone, they would apply for the qualified investment project. We call it QIP. After the process of registration is done, there will be three main beneficiaries for the investors. One is about the import duty exemption on construction material and production equipment. And second one is the import duty exemption on production materials for export, industry, and export duty exemption. And third one is known as the profit tax exemption. It's a tax holiday. And you can see on the right-hand side, the tax holiday will separate into three phases. One is the trigger period and 3 years for regular and priority period. And here you can see the after the QIP registration is very clearly all of the beneficiary like construction material, production equipment, and production material will be exempted for the import duty for export industry. But for those industry they're selling to domestics, they will only enjoy the construction material and production equipment import duty exemption. And Mr. O also mentioned about a lot about the foreigner investors. For information, foreigner and foreigner company is not able to obtain the land ownership. So inside our zone, we also doing the long lease. We use like a 50 years lease as land available for the foreigner and foreigner companies. And we will support all of the tenants to acquire the certificate. We call it long lease certificate from the land department. It's an official guarantee of the land of use for all of our tenants. And second phase, I want to introduce our zone, about the location, about the situation, and about our investors inside. And as you can see, our zone is very close to the Phnom city. We have 8 kilometers from the airport and 18 kilometers from the city center. And we are around 60 kilometers from Phnom port and 200 kilometers from Sihanoukville port. And to all of the borders like Thailand border or Vietnam border, there's a national way road to access. And for your information, we also have one more special economic zone in Poi Bet between the Thailand and Cambodian border. And with a very close cooperation with Cambodian government, we have a very international service team to provide each kind of the services, including the facilities and administrations. And inside our zone right now, we separate into three phases. First one phases is around 140 hectares, and phase 2 is around 160 hectares, and phase 3 is around 60 hectares. So in total, current area right now is 357 hectares. And inside these three phases, we have including the facility like power plant, water purification plant, sewage treatment plant, and a dry port. And so inside our zone, all of the investors can enjoy these facilities and services, and they don't need to worry for the initial time for those infrastructures. And we also have over 10 IPS companies to provide a service inside our zone. And currently inside our zone, we have most of the investors from Japan and also China. And of course, for neighboring countries like Thailand and Singapore, and we have also have the investor from America, Malaysia, Netherlands, Australia, Korea, and Philippines, and Vietnam. And these are the manufacturers for the international brand, which is iconic inside our zone. For like 10 years ago, we also have a lot of the apparel and footwear industries. And for last 5 years, we start to diversify with several manufacturers from Japan and from America, from China, including like electrical and electronics industry and automobile industries. And these years, we have a lot of the domestic industries, such like beverage, like animal feed, like food industry, and dairy products. And for non-manufacturers, we also have like Toyota and several of the logistic companies and several of the commercial banks, in construction companies, restaurant, and hotel. This kind of commercial infrastructure you can find in Phnom Penh, especially in the Macao zone. And below is some of our very iconic companies inside our zone. Like Minibia, they are doing the small size motors. Like Sumi Wiring, they are doing the wiring harness for automobile. And Railton, they are the diamond polishing manufacturing for Tiffany diamonds. And Denso is the biggest supplier of the Toyota automobile. And SPI is the electrical parts manufacturer from Thailand. And Cambodia Beverage, they are manufacturing for the Coca-Cola. And PBSAC, this one is from Hong Kong. They are doing the garment accessory for the several of the international brands like Adidas or others. And Beta Grow, they are manufacturing the animal feed. So in the general figures and facts, you can see right now we have 357 hectares, and we are going to expand for a bigger land storage. And we have currently over 100 tenants inside our zone. And every day we have around 22K workers to working inside PBSAC. And we also have the several international standards for management, like ISO. And the third phase, I want to talk about the challenges. The challenges in Cambodia right now mostly is about our respected speakers. They talk about like tax problems, and also have about a cost for the power and cost for logistics. And inside our zone, we have advantage. From 2015, we have the MOU with anti-corruption unit in Cambodia. So in our one-stop service center and inside our zone, all of the services will be under-table money. So inside our zone, all the services are transparent. And we also have the cooperation with the Cambodian military army, and we have the disaster prevention support from local government authority. And we also have provide the labor management service for like pre-job training from TPA. And we also have the recruitment services for our old tenants. And inside our zone, we also have a facility for the dormitory and canteen and restaurants for those workers to use and to fulfill their working and life. And last, we also have the cooperation with the UNDP for solving the waste treatment problems inside our zone. And we also have the plan to build up the affordable housing for the workers. It's under developing. And inside our zone, we also have the eco-friendly rental factory. And right now we have in Phnom Penh, PPSZ, and we also have a plan to build up in PPSZ. And for your information, currently our company also the IPO company in Cambodia, and we have the new SSZ in Phnom Penh City, near border between Thailand and Cambodia. And we also have expansion for PPSZ into Kangdao province. And as an IPO company, we have do several CSR projects every year to feedback to our neighboring communities. And that's all from my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chang. The floor is now open for questions again. So if you have any question, please submit it in the Q&A box. We have a question from the audience. So what are the leasing terms of your park? Is there any incentive offered for overseas manufacturers interested in setting up factories in your park?
So can I see the question in the, wait a moment.
It's in the answered session, if you'd like to.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, I cannot expand the. Here. Okay. Sorry, can you repeat the question again? I cannot see the question.
So, what are the leasing terms of your zone? So what are the pricing required to be listed in your park? So is there any incentive or discount offered for overseas manufacturers who would like to set up a factory in your zone?
Actually, I want to show you about the leasing term inside our zone. Please wait a moment.
Yeah, sure, no problem.
Okay. Okay. This is our leasing terms inside our zone. For right now, we separate into two separate kind of land. One is the industrial land, and with the 50 years lease standard right now, it's 80 to 90 US dollar per square meter. And for commercial land, lease standard right now is 150 US dollar per square meter. And for the infrastructure and facility, for water is 0.3 cubic meter per US dollar, and sewage treatment plant is 0.26 per cubic meter. And for the power rates, right now we have two options. One is with the backup power from our power plant. This is 0.1565, and without the backup power is 0.13670. And for the infrastructure maintenance fee right now is 6 cents US dollar per square meter per month.
Thank you, Mr. Chang. Yeah.
Yes.
Please continue.
Oh, and About the beneficial inside our zone, I think the first one is our infrastructure. And we have the power plant, we have the water treatment plant, we have the sewage water treatment plant, and we also have all of the lighting system, the road system, and for those like logistic companies to provide a service inside our zone. And second one is our services. Our company provides a series of the administration services, and we have the close cooperation with the one-stop service center. So most of the services and demand of our tenants can be solved inside our zone and inside our administration office.
Thank you, Mr. Chang. Any more questions from the floor? Okay, there's one. Are electricity and water in the zone connected to or supplied by the EDC and PPWSA or to your own plants?
For the power is connected from our power plant. And for the water, we have our own power, we have our own water purification plant, and is international standard. So our tenants inside can use our water very safely and conveniently, because inside our zone, including the Coca-Cola, Yao's, Anko Dairy, they also use our purification plant to provide their products.
Thank you, Mr. Chang. I believe the information you have shared are very insightful for our audience. So next, may I invite Mr. Richard Ju, Session Chief, Marketing Department of Sihanoukville Special Economic Zone, to tell us more about the zone. Mr. Ju, please.
Thank you.
Okay. So everyone, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. So hi everyone. This is Richard from SCZ. Now I will give you a brief introduction about our special economic zone. Since Mr. and Mrs. have already mentioned a lot of information about the Cambodia investment environment, so I will just give you very briefly. And the main things I will focus on the SCZ adventures for development and the plan of SCZ. So I just started, just to give you a brief introduction about the investment environment. It can be separated into 4 parts. The first thing is excellent geographic position and the good economic and social environment and outstanding policies. The first is Cambodia. It's a traffic hub of Southeast Asia, bounded with Vietnam, Laos, and Thailand. And Hong Kong, Seoul, Tokyo, like Wuxi, Shenzhen, can fly to Phnom Penh and Sihanoukville directly. Sihanoukville Special Economic Zone, which we call SCZ, now is located in the Sihanoukville city, which is one of 3 main cities in Cambodia. You know, the Sihanoukville city is have the only seaport of Cambodia. So every products, if they want to export, they must transport to Sihanoukville city. And the city also have the most beautiful beach in the world and good for traveling. So you can see the maps. This is SCZ location. The transportation is very convenient. It's about 12 kilometers to the seaport and 3 kilometers to the airport and 212 kilometers to the Phnom Penh. Second thing is good economic and social environment, as they have mentioned. You know, stable political environment, and the GDP growth is very higher, and the total population is about 16 million, and The structure is very younger for the employees, and their legal salary now is $190 per month, and their working days is working 6 days per week. The local government have given the investors a lot of outstanding policies. The first is no foreign exchange control, and the investors should be treated equally by law, except for the ownership of the land, of course. And the government will not undertake nationalization policy, and it will not impose price control on products and service. And based on the 2015 and 2025 industry development stage announced by Cambodia government, you can know they will improve the safety of electronic, and they will connection the Phnom Penh to Sihanoukville city, build an economic corridor, and strengthen the labor market and training the technician workers. And also finally direct Sihanoukville to be a comprehensive demonstration economic zone. This is the privileges if the investors come to special economic zone, they can enjoy. For the export tax free, import tax for equipment, construction materials, components, raw materials for production, all free. And just like Ms. Oka mentioned, if the company or investor come here, got the QIP, they can also enjoy 6 to 9 years tax holidays for profit tax. And for the VAT, for construction materials, the equipment, zero. If your products finally export to another country, for raw materials, also zero. If you sell in domestic market, maybe 10%. So Cambodia also joined the WTO in 2004 and joined Asia in 1999. And you know, Cambodia have no trade barriers with the developed countries like the United States, EU, and Japan, and other countries. Compared with other countries in Asia, Cambodia enjoy more privileges. So the most important things I will introduce the Sihanoukville Special Economic Zone (SCZ) are advantages. The first is the background. SCZ is cooperate with Chinese and Cambodia companies. Our aim is to create an invest platform for enterprises invest in Asia relation to the world. And the total area of our special economic zone is 11.13 square kilometers. In the first phase, which we have finished, is about 5.28 square kilometers. The main industries were textile, garment, hardware, machinery, and light industry, home appearance, and so on. And in the second phase, the machinery equipment, construction materials, and the auto parts and the fine chemicals will be the key industries for us. This is our planning structure for the future. You know, one axis and 3 areas. The one axis is the main road of our special economic zone. 3 areas, including the urban sporting area, industry area, and the comprehensive area. You know, our aim is to build our special economic zone like a city. People can live in this place and enjoy more convenient. Now, SCZ have finished land flatting, road connection, power, water, telecommunication, and the water sewage treatment system within 6 square kilometers. Yes. We have built our own water planet and also connected to the water and the electronic grid and set up 2 electronic special lines from Sihanoukville city to SCZ. And we also already started to build the power plant for, you know, this belongs to our special economic zone. So this all guarantee the factories in our zone can run 24 hours. We have the sewage treatment plant. The capacity is 5,000 tons per day. And we build the comprehensive office building you come here, you have one-stop service, the meeting room, hotel, restaurant, entertainment facilities, and also the bank, clinic, supermarket in the zone. This is a community health service center. We can provide the medical service for employees in the area and the surrounding villages. Now I will introduce the one-stop service system for our special economic zone. The first is one-stop service administrative service. It including the department such as the CDC, customers, MOC, and the labor department, and the Sihanoukville provincial authorities. That means you can do the document work just in our zone. We also provide human resources service. We cooperate with local technical schools and build a labor market to help the invest in our zone to find their suitable employee. We also provide the training service. There are 2 school universities in our zone, so they have carried out 14 training seasons and with total of 40,000 participants. We also provide security service. We organize a security team to perform our duty and implement 24 hours patrols. And we also install infrared monitors at a comprehensive service center and also every crossroads. This to make sure manufacturing safety. We also set up legal consulting platform to provide professional legal service for the investors. We also introduce logistics, clearance company, and a Canadian bank to provide for service for investor. Now, in our zone, there are about 165 investors from both in industry and service areas, and the number of total employee is nearly 30,000. We have 3 enter-firms. The first is listed plants, and the second is listed land, and the third is listed stores. Our special economy is also valued by the local government. The Prime Minister have visited our zone 4 times. The first is in 2008, we start to build the zone, and in 2016, we have 100 enterprises to SCZ account, and on 2008, 3rd to 4th March, he went twice. He have met about 35,000 workers in special economic zone, and also highly praised SCZ for promoting local employment and stimulating local economic and social development. The relevant Cambodia government also frequently come to SCZ for advertising, like CDC, the Ministry of Labor, MOC, and SCZ also ahead to the concept of win-win cooperation. We just with the shareholders, the employees, customers, suppliers, partners, government, environment, and society. So we are also welcomed by the local peoples. We have participated a lot of charitable activities. We donate money to the Cambodia Red Cross every year, and we donate to build a school. And in the church day, I also come to the schools to play with child. During the COVID-19 pandemic, we also donated the prevention materials to local people and to the local government. So finally, I will just introduce the plan of SCZ about our future. For building the 2.0 upgrades version of SCZ, we start to promote the industrialization, internationalization, and capitalization of the zone, and stress the integration between the industry and the city, and the production and education, and process development and the social responsibilities. So we were finally built into we are facilitated for functional ecological with 300 enterprises shelter and 80,000 to 100,000 industry workers in our zone, modern zone. So that's my presentation. We are looking forward to you to come to visit our zone. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. G. Thank you for the thorough introduction. So we're now once again open for questions. Can you maybe share with us the leasing term of your park again? So is there any incentive for overseas manufacturers interested in setting up factories in your zone?
For the leasing terms, it would be the 30 years for our special economic zone, and the rent fee must be $55 per square meters for 30 years. Yes.
30 years, yeah.
Yes, right.
Any more questions from the audience? You feel free to type it in the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. So here's one. Any assistance from the industrial park or local government on businesses via for business visa for investors?
For our special economic zone, if you want to have a visit, we can give you like invite lessons to help you to get the visas to visit our zone, and that was easily for us. We can assist them for you. Yes.
Thank you so much. So if there's no more questions, we'll then move to the next session. So thank you, Mr. Ju, for your presentation and for
That's
your
my
time.
pleasure.
So finally, may I invite Ms. Dodie Lee, Customer Service Manager, Corporate Communications and Marketing of Hong Kong Trade Development Council, to give a brief introduction of the HKTDC's new initiative, Transformation Sandbox Program, T-Box, which provides assistance for Hong Kong SMEs desiring to expand their markets overseas. Dodie, please.
Hello, everyone. So welcome to the event today. My name is Dodie, and I'm the Customer Service Manager at HKTDC in Hong Kong. Today, I'm very happy to share our new program, the T-Box program, to the SMEs who are interested in the Cambodian markets. So let's get started. What is the letter T? So T means transformation of business. It also means thinking out of the box. And the most importantly, TDC helps SMEs. So the T-Box program helps Hong Kong SMEs to transform their business in the area of branding, e-commerce, new markets, and manufacturing relocation. For branding, to help you to create a unique brand and establish a differentiated presence in the market, the T-Box program provides practical advice on brand planning, marketing strategies, and intellectual properties. So for e-commerce, if you would like to ride on the big wave of online business, you can also ask our staff about the latest market trends in online platforms, marketing, payment system, and logistics, or any discount packages from our program partners to help you tap into global e-commerce opportunities. For manufacturing and supply chain solutions. In order to deal with upcoming challenges, manufacturers are looking for less costly locations to diversify risks and penetrate new markets. Our business advisors are here to provide an overview of manufacturing landscape, regulations, and industrial parks in ASEAN countries to help you making your relocation decisions. We also provide information about local supporting facilities, regulatory updates, and business guides, and others. For new markets, we help local companies tackle challenges and explore new markets. We provide market overviews, sales channels, and related business mission information for markets in mainland China and Southeast Asia to guide your overseas business expansions. So how does it work? Our TBOS staff will work with you to identify your goals and provide support over a 3-month period with different services, including advisory service, workshop, government funding information, market knowledge, and networking opportunities. The program is offered free of charge and is open to all companies registered in Hong Kong. About our advisory service, we have various professional institutions, chambers of commerce, business partners, government officials. They are all here to provide free advisory service for TBOS members. Our staff will recommend suitable associations to provide advisory support for your needs and to help you to capture potential business opportunities. For workshops, we have regular workshops that are organized by HKTDC to cater for the needs of TBOS members. You will be given opportunities to exchange views with speakers on subjects associated with your needs. For market information, there are about more than 3,000 online articles which you can find on HKTDC research on Hong Kong Means Business websites regarding the industry and market trends. Our staff will pick some articles for you and help you to make the best use of HKTDC resources. For marketing, for government funding schemes, the Hong Kong government offers different kinds of funding schemes and support to local SMEs in order to facilitate their growth and development. There are over 40 government funding schemes available to Hong Kong SMEs, including BUD Fund, that is branding, upgrading, and domestic sales. And also for EMF, that is Export Marketing Fund, and TVP, Technology Voucher Program. And there are a lot of others. So how does this 3-month program work? So first step, please talk to our staff to set your goals. Second step, please join the activities. Our staff will recommend different events and services to you subject to your interests. Step 3, start achieving your goals. If you want to get started, please contact us and we will guide you through. If you would like to know more information about TBOS program, please feel free to contact us. You can also scan the QR code on this page to access the TBOS website. So this is the end of my sharing today, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Dodi. Ladies and gentlemen, this marks the end of today's webinar. We thank our speakers once again for the insightful sharing and practical advices, and also the support from the Royal Consul-General of Cambodia in Hong Kong and Macau, Cambodia International Trade Association, Federation of Hong Kong Industries, and the Chinese Manufacturers Association of Hong Kong. We hope you find the information useful. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you.